After extensively playing Marathon, I've made the decision to review the game despite Bungie's request to wait for the fourth map's release. And essentially, the gist of it is Marathon is a good extraction shooter and it's extremely fun to play, but it has a very big glaring issue that makes it difficult for players to get into it. So let's start with that. The big glaring issue, the biggest problem with Marathon, in my opinion, is the onboarding process. Not only is the tutorial very bare bones and it only teaches you the basics of the controls, it doesn't teach you things like inventory, it doesn't teach you the UI, and it doesn't teach you things like build crafting and how you can set up your shells with certain playstyles. It doesn't teach you any of that. And then when you combine this with the other issue, which is the horrendous UI, a lot of people will quit the game within the first hour or two, being confused and saying the game is boring or they don't understand it, they don't know what they're doing. So because of this, it makes Bungie's request to wait for the fourth map irrelevant. Because if you've stuck with the game long enough and you're able to get to the third map outpost, which requires an account of level 12, chances are you've already made the decision that you like Marathon and you're going to continue playing Marathon. The reviews on Steam and the reviews on PlayStation have shown that for the people who bought the game, who are playing the game, it's a really good game. It sits, I believe, at an 86 or 87% on Steam with the reviews. So people are enjoying the game. It's just this onboarding process is terrible and completely off-putting for new players, and it is the reason of the biggest negative that Marathon has. The good news is, once you get past the onboarding process, what's here is a really good extraction shooter because those issues will no longer be issues. Once you learn the game and once you learn the UI, they're no longer issues for you and you're able to enjoy what's on display. Now, let's get to the good stuff of Marathon. First and foremost, the art style. Now, I know the art is very subjective. A lot of people don't like it, but I actually like the art style. But more importantly, the art style gives Marathon its distinct look. When you look at other extraction shooters like Arena Breakout or Escape from Tarkov, they look the same to the point where it is hard for a casual player to distinguish which one is which. Where Marathon, the art style gives it its unique look, and you'll know when you look at the game that it is Marathon, and there's no doubt about it. Also, one of the good aspects of Marathon, and this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, is the core gun mechanics. This is Bungie, after all. They made the original Halo trilogy. They made Destiny. Both games were praised for the core gun mechanics and how great the guns felt to shoot. Marathon is no exception here. The guns are fantastic to shoot no matter which one you're using. They all feel good. They have good feedback. They sound good. The core mechanics of what's here is absolutely fantastic, and it fits Bungie's MO. If you're a fan of Bungie's mechanics, you're going to be a fan of Marathon's mechanics. Now, this is an extraction shooter, and I've touched on it lightly, is that we do have different shells. This is one of the things that differentiate Marathon from other extraction shooters, is the fact that you have shells, aka classes or hero characters, however you want to phrase it. Basically, there's, I believe, about 6 or 7 different shells to choose from, each with their own skills. Now, the balance of these shells are pretty good overall. I don't feel like anything is oppressive other than the assassin class. I think the assassin in solos is a little oppressive because of the invisibility, but when you're playing in squads, it's pretty well balanced. And overall, they do feel really distinct and have their pros and cons, especially when you start getting into the build crafting. This is one of the core aspects of Marathon and what makes the game so great. The more you play Marathon and the more gear you get, the better the game gets because you're able to create classes and play styles that play to the way you want to. So for example, I touched on the assassin class and the invisibility. Well, the assassin has cores that you can specifically give to it that will increase movement speed while stealth. And then another core is it increases melee damage when coming out of stealth. So what do you want to do? You want to do an invisible melee build using your smoke grenades and things of that nature to get in close and get easy kills. This is just one of many combinations that you can do for the assassin class. And then of course, there's cores for every class. So every class has a different different cores that augment their skills to give you different builds and make the game play differently, but also give you your own sense of style with the core that you're using and the shell that you're using. That is where the real meat and potatoes of Marathon is. Of course, if you're interested in lore and you're interested in the story, Marathon delivers on that too. You have a codex as part of your main menu, which has everything and anything you need to know about the lore of the game that unlocks as you continue to play the game. But also, whenever you unlock a new faction, you're greeted with a cutscene which gives you basically the backstory of that faction and what that faction's intentions are. Every faction gets one of these, and then as you progress through their main quest line, you will see more cutscenes that go over the faction and what they want to do and the lore and story of the game. This is one of the better aspects of it. One of the criticisms that art creators had was the fact that they used AI for the voices. While you're right, where Marathon, they don't do that. All the voices are done by actual actors across the board, which helps the delivery of the cutscenes and the story, which helps it a lot better. Now, with regards to the factions, as opposed to a game like Arc Raiders where you have crafting and you're building up your workbench and things of that nature, in Marathon, you want to level up your factions. Because one of the things about Marathon that I think it does really well is the game's progression within the factions. As you complete faction quests and you complete objectives, you will level up the factions. Now, the factions each have their own skill trees. And these trees, some nodes will unlock purchasable items, such as you can buy shields or buy a backpack. Other nodes improve your character itself, such as giving you a larger amount of heat so you can sprint and slide longer. Another node could give you faster revives. Another node can give you fall resistance so you can fall from a greater distance and take less damage. All of these things help your character get stronger regardless of the shell that you're using. This, and the best part about these upgrades, is that they're noticeable. One of the criticisms with Arc Raiders and their skill tree was that the skill tree barely felt anything. You barely felt that you got stronger in any way, shape, or form, no matter how many points you put into your skill tree. In Marathon, that's not the case here. You will notice the difference in terms of power as you unlock more and more nodes from your factions. One of the things that I can appreciate in terms of Marathon within the gameplay itself, and this is a big criticism I had about Arc Raiders, and it is thankfully not an issue here in Marathon, is when you start a raid with a kit that you went in with, you get full raid time every time. Just like Escape from Tarkov, just like Arena Breakout, when you go in with a kit that you've put together yourself, you get full raid time every time. None of this bullshit that you're risking your gear and starting a raid 10 minutes late like you do in Arc Raiders. That's one of the biggest issues I had with Arc Raiders. Thankfully, it is not present here. Now, in terms of gameplay, continuing with that trend, one of the things that differentiates Marathon from its competitors like Arc Raiders is PvP. Arc Raiders is basically an extraction shooter, but PvP is frowned upon in Arc Raiders, which is why people insult you and get mad when you kill them and rat them and things of that nature, because it feels more like a PvE game, and they even have matchmaking that curates you to PvE so long as you provide that type of aggression when you play. Marathon doesn't work that way. Marathon is very much PvP driven. You even have one of the factions where you have to engage in PvP in order to level up. And that faction has some of the best stuff in the game. So if you want to unlock some of the best stuff in the game, well, you're gonna kind of have to engage in PvP in order to do that. And from my experience in playing both in squads and in solo and Marathon, people shoot on sight first here. There is no spamming friendly, and this and that. No. So if you do not want PvP, do not play Marathon. If you want the PvP, if you want to sweat, this is the game for you, especially since they are about to add ranked mode to this game as well. Now, sticking with the gameplay further, one of the things that separates Marathon from a game like Arc Raiders, and this is divisive, is mandatory wipes. Arc Raiders, you do not have to wipe at any point. That is optional. However, that while that is great for casual players, the game will get stale to those who get to the end game and have nothing left to do. Wiping allows players to grind to the end game, a fresh start, and to start the process over again, especially when they're adding more content. When they add new shells, new quests, new pieces of gear, it's always best to start with a wipe and have everybody have to grind for it again, as opposed to having players who are already at the end game and just get it so quickly. Also with wipes, one of the benefits of wipes is that it gives opportunities for players to jump into the game, whether they're new or returning, to jump in at a level playing field with everybody else, as opposed to a game like Arc Raiders, where if you jump into Arc Raiders now, so many people have endgame gear, you just can't compete with them. And it's just the way it is. So wiping is mandatory. Now, what gets wiped in Marathon is pretty much everything except for your liaison contracts, which unlock the factions. You will get to keep your unlocked factions. You get to keep your cosmetics, and you get to keep basically all your codex, whatever you have unlocked lore-wise with the codex. Now, this is a live service game, and as a live service game, and it has the traditional trope of a battle pass and an in-game shop. Now, to my surprise, despite the art direction of Marathon, the battle pass was very disappointing in my opinion. Same with the in-game shop, nothing really stood out to me. However, the art design does allow them to get crazier in the future with the skins and cosmetics to help them look cooler. One thing Bungie did say that they were going to do was add more stuff to the current battle pass, as they are taking the feedback that it wasn't good enough, and they're adding stuff to that current battle pass to make it more appealing to players, which is always great that they take that feedback. But overall, what's here at Marathon is definitely an extraction shooter for the more hardcore and sweatier audience. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not for casual players. Casual players will probably get frustrated with the mandatory wipes as well as the PvP. But if you are a more committed player, if you like to sweat, if you like competition, Marathon is where it's at. Overall, I'm enjoying my time with Marathon. I think Marathon is highly underrated. I think it's really good. However, it does require commitment for new players to come into the game. If you're expecting to get your socks blown off within the first hour or two, like it was in Arc Raiders, you're going to be disappointed. The way the game works is it's reverse of that. The longer you play Marathon, the better it gets. The more you understand the systems, the better it gets. Things such as the onboarding and the UI, those issues don't become issues once you've learned the game, and they're basically non-existent, and you get to see how good Marathon is. Whether or not this is going to be supported in the super long term, who knows? That's a decision for Sony and the executives there. But overall, for the people who are playing this game, we're enjoying it. A lot of people are enjoying it. The user scores, the reviews, whether it be on Steam or PlayStation, are good. People are having fun. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying Marathon, and I still continue to play Marathon. So overall, I recommend Marathon for those who are more of the hardcore audience and who can have the patience to actually learn the game and actually play the game. If you're looking for quick instant gratification, it won't be here right away, and obviously if you don't like PvP, this may not be your jam. Overall, I'm giving Marathon an 8 out of 10. This is Veteran Gamer, and I hope to see you guys next time.